Welcome back, Superboy Beyond fans. It's Chris and Tom here with another one of our patented commentaries. So for this week, we are doing The Road to Hell Part 2. We did Part 1 last week, solid episode, and we're going to go into the next part, which is where we get the appearance by the late, great Ron Ely.
Indeed. I always forget that he didn't appear at all in Part 1. So I always, for some reason, remember the scene of Lex going up when he's reading the book. I always remember that as being part of the end of Part 1 for some reason, but it's obviously it can't be because the not breathing line is the cliffhanger. But there we go.
Yep. So again, for those of you who've been with us before, you're not going to see any clips of the episode in the podcast. You're not going to hear any audio. There's going to be a heavily filtered version right up there, just so you can keep in track with us, because we know life happens. So I'm going to count you in with a 3, 2, 1, up and away for what is going to appear in this episode. So get yourselves ready. This is Season 3, Disc 3, Episode 26, The Road to Hell Part 2, in 3, 2, 1, up and away.
So yeah, we're finally coming to the end of the Road Saga, as I like to call it. The best 4 episodes of the show, maybe, especially if you count them all as one continuous story. It's probably the strongest story this show told. And rest in peace, Ron Ely, as well.
Yeah. Thankfully, though, on these 2 episodes, there's no, kind of filter over the look. It's all, regular.
Which helps. It stops the quality being really, really low, like Part 1 was of Roads Not Taken. Unfortunately, the color grading alone just really dropped the quality.
Yep. And we've talked about how it doesn't make any sense that he doesn't realize that he just went from one Earth to another.
Yeah. If they hadn't shown us the shot of him floating through like the wormhole, like if they hadn't shown that shot and they just shown him disappear from the street and appear by the elevator, you could understand it. But the fact they included that shot is the only thing that makes it not quite work. If it was instantaneous, he went from the street back to the bureau, he could be forgiven. But
I think he probably would have realized, why am I now at the bureau?
I mean, he would have thought it strange, but he might just thought he teleported somehow.
Yeah.
The actor that plays Dr. Winger does a very good job.
Yeah, Kenneth Robert Shippey.
Yeah. I might have to look up and just see what else he's done, because this is all I've ever seen him in. I'd be interested to see some of his other work. I'd like to see more of Tracy Roberts' other work as well. I assume she acted in other things.
Yeah, I think shortly after season 4, she kind of dropped out of acting and went back to her chosen profession, which is hairdresser.
That's cool.
And for those eagle-eyed viewers, they'll notice it says special guest Ron Ely. There is versions of this episode that some people have shown screenshots of where it says Ron Ely as Superman.
I wonder if they were forced to remove that credit at some point.
Yeah. probably. But I didn't notice this in the first part, but it says story by Stan Berkowitz, and then teleplay by Michael Maurer and Robert Ewitz.
Hmm.
So Stan definitely was involved in the Rhodes stories all the way through.
Yeah, just not part one of Road to Hell for some reason. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the story by credit that he gets is purely because he had the idea, but maybe all of his ideas maybe were in part two, and part
Yeah.
one was completely original or something.
Mm. And this version of Lex obviously never had the lab accident, so you can kind of see that's his real hair.
Yeah, but it's his real hair a lot of the time in the show. It's one of my main complaints about this is, I wish that they'd never let him use his actual hair outside of being Eckworth.
Yep.
Just purely because you can always tell.
And of course, a reuse of the bureau set.
I tell you what, though, it'd be a brilliant place to live. I mean, what a cool sort of Art Deco style interior. Like, I could see myself living there quite comfortably. Turn it
Yep.
into an apartment bigger than my house is here.
Well, you and I have discussed what you would do if you ever won the lottery. You said you would build the bureau set and live there.
Maybe there'd be a room off to the side that would be my bedroom, and that would just be Clark and Andy's dorm room. But no, part of me wants to do what that guy did. Something like a decade ago, he was in the papers and stuff. He converted his entire apartment into essentially the interior from Voyager. His living room was the bridge, and and it looked phenomenal. It looked just like in the show, and he was just like, I wanted to live on a starship, so I turned my apartment into Voyager.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it was Voyager.
And I like the interaction
Maybe it
between
was
this
the Sovereign
alternate
class.
Lex here, and we have to call him Superman because that's what he is.
Yeah.
The fact that he says, "I made you read Crime and Punishment."
Yeah, and it wasn't a punishment, like he was just trying to impart a lesson. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And even
And
though
it's
he's
funny how
wearing human robes here, it's almost a throwback to the images of Jor-El that we know.
absolutely. If he had the S on his chest in black, like it would just sell the entire thing.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting how even though he's so much older, Ron Eli's like playing him like he looks powerful, if that makes sense. He looks strong. They definitely picked the right actor to play something like this.
Yeah.
And I do think that Gerard and Ron Eli have enough of a similarity facially that it works. You can imagine them being the same person.
We're about to get the best line.
Hmm.
You hit me. All right, and I'll do it again.
And I know it wouldn't occur to you if you was in a parallel Earth that someone could be an older version of you. But it is funny how Ron Eli, like he has the curl on his forehead and Clark still hasn't worked it out yet. Even though he's also strong enough to hurt him. Yeah. Maybe Clark thinks he's Jor-El or something at this point. But then he's lost memory of seeing the fake Jor-El anyway, so
Yeah.
although this is after Mindscape, so I guess technically he's seen like a vision of Jor-El in front of like a bright light. I don't know.
Mm. And it doesn't matter what universe we're in, Doug is always annoying.
I like Doug, though. I like Doug in A Day in the Double Life, and I like him here. He's just one of those fun characters that doesn't get enough to do. Now, I wish they'd, developed a lot of the Bureau cast members a little bit more. Matt deserved at least one more episode. I think the couple of agents that Clark brings together in A Day in the Double Life, I think they could have had a fun extra episode or two.
Yep. Even Dr. Stern could have had.
Dr. Stern would be a great focus for an episode, yeah. Did the suit heal too? I guess it's Kryptonian.
I don't think so.
He's not got a hole in it, so maybe they just brought him a replacement, because I'm sure this Superman still has a bunch of suits in his closet or whatever.
Assuming, he didn't
Assuming he had the same suit. I mean, I don't think he would have burnt them. He's not George Reeves.
Yeah.
Although even that, there's never been any actual proof that he did that. It's just been a rumor for a long time. I think Lou says that he doesn't actually believe he did it. I don't know any other George Reeves experts, so I'll take Lou's word for it. It's funny now that you say that Tracy Roberts went on to become a hairdresser. I do wonder how much of her hair in the series now she influenced.
Probably all of it.
Maybe. Be funny if she did. It's like all these iconic hairstyles that she had throughout the show. It's like actually she did all of them herself. That would be pretty cool. I know someone's credited with her wardrobe, but I can't remember if I ever saw a credit for hair.
And now we get the first inclination of Lex's parents. Where he says, I turned on them. So I'm going to assume that that this Lex has the same upbringing as Earth 1.
Yeah.
And the same things happened. But what he's planning on doing is kind of twisted.
Yeah. I mean, he's Lex Luthor. He's always going to be slightly twisted. Unless he's the Luthor from, the Red Sun Earth, as we call it.
Yeah.
He's the only Lex that's, apart from, I mean, no, even Ron Eli's version of Lex in this Earth, he saw that if he didn't give him guidance, he was going to go down that path. So I guess even this Earth, Lex does have a darkness within him.
Yeah. And I love the interaction between the two of them right here.
Yeah, and this photo that I colorized a while back, it was obviously taken right here. So.
Ron Eli's Superman is, basically telling him, oh, this world is so great. It's a utopia. There's no wars. Nobody's fighting. There's no crime. And what Gerard says to him, as Superboy is so great. You're bored.
Yeah. And it's also interesting that, he's learning this lesson from another version of himself. So hopefully this version of Superman will grow up to have a family, Fingers crossed him and Lois will have a kid, maybe two.
Well, we're already establishing that in season 5.
Yeah. You know, it's all based very much on material from this show. We're just taking what they set up and running with it with our own sort of fan fiction.
Yep.
Even if we are indulging ourselves a little bit too much at times. I know I do. It's hard to resist putting in fan service, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed.
And yeah, it is funny how this version of Superman, like he's literally dressed, he's like wearing a cardigan, and yeah, he still looks strong, like he could kick some ass. It's just a testament to his performance, I guess.
And just that line to Dr. Winger, what are you going to do to me?
Hmm. And it is another thing that highlights as well the difference between, like, the Sovereign thought the only way to save the world was to do what he did.
Yeah.
And give them, instead of like peace and prosperity, he gave them order. This Earth just shows that if he doesn't have to go down that route, you can accomplish much better things if you go the opposite direction.
If you get people to work together.
Yeah. I always like looking at these locations, trying to work out if they were used in any other episodes. I'm fairly sure the exterior for this building was used in a different episode.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
The
I'm not
interior
sure.
even looks slightly familiar, but I have no idea where from, which episode.
The makeup job they've done on Lana here makes her look so much older.
Yeah, maybe that's just because it's the style of the time. They say that past eras like makeup and fashion tends to age them.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they just wanted to show that Lana's a bit more mature in this universe. More cynical for sure. It's weird, on my DVD, Lana's outfit is like causing havoc with the compression. And her entire outfit is just sort of sparkling with rainbow colours. Looks so strange.
Mm.
And this, I think, was the first time that Superboy, or any version of the character, had ever transformed into their costume by spinning on the spot, something that Lois and Clark would go on to do all the time, it seemed. I'm
Yeah.
probably exaggerating a bit, but it felt like Lois and Clark did it a lot. You know, little Kal-El's missing the jungle. Hmm.
Ugh.
I would say that this is one of the bloodier episodes of the show, but I don't think that's possible in the episode with Metallo's introduction.
Yeah.
I think that's still going to be the bloodiest.
Yeah.
Although at least the blood in this episode isn't pink. That's definitely an improvement.
Still trying to use the whole bad man thing.
Yeah. It's not going to work after he just saw you try to murder him.
Yep.
I wonder what this kid's up to. Obviously, he's a full-grown man at this point. Older than I am, but...
Yeah, he's got to be in his, 40s now.
I do think he does a good job, And they cast him really well. I think he really does look a lot like Gerard.
It's probably the wig.
Probably the wig, but I think even just in terms of the face, there's definitely a similarity. I couldn't see this kid being able to be like a young Dean Cain or a young Christopher Reeve. He looks like a young Gerard Christopher.
Mm.
I think the kid that they had in what was it, Into the Mystery as well for the flashbacks. I think that kid was very well cast.
Mm.
But he was hidden behind glasses, so it was a bit easier. So, what do you think this Superman does now? Do they both stay in this Earth forever, and he just stays to raise the kid? Because he made it pretty clear that he'd done everything he needed to in his Earth.
I don't know. Maybe he stays here. Maybe something calls him back to his home Earth. We don't know.
Mm.
I'd like to think that he does right by this kid and puts him in the hands of the Kents of this universe, because obviously Jonathan and Martha are still alive in this universe.
Yeah, because Superboy's rocket went through a time warp doesn't mean that Martha and Jonathan are any different age, presumably.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't quite work for other continuities of the character. But there you go.
Yep.
Either way, This is a great episode.
Yep.
The best season finale they did. Luther Unleashed is good too, but I mean, season 2's finale I just thought was crap. Season 4's finale is fine, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse if we were left with, Rest in Peace as the final episode. But it's still not as good as this one, in my opinion.
Yeah. This, they really, knocked it out of the park here with season 3's finale.
Yeah.
You don't get any better than this, because this really starts pushing him towards his ultimate destiny, and we know that that's Metropolis, Superman, and Lois Lane.
And it's interesting as well that they aren't allowed, or they didn't have the rights to show Superman as an adult fighting crime under the name Superman, but they did have a bit of wiggle room with right before and right after. So it's a really interesting way of bringing in a more mature Superman without stepping on rights issues and just causing a load of trouble for, presumably the Salkinds lawyers and stuff.
Yeah.
Just a really, really solid episode. What do you want to give this out of 10? I don't think this is close. I don't think it's even close to the first part of Roads Not Taken, but I think it's a solid 9.
I would say at the very most a 9.25. I would say,
I don't know if I would quite go that far. I think there are better episodes even in season 3 than this 2-parter. I think Mindscape is a better episode. Mind Games is a better episode. Yeah, I think those are maybe 9.25s.
Yeah,
this is probably a 9.
Yeah, this is definitely a 9. I mean, what really bumps this up is Ron Ely as we have to say it, Superman. He is
Yeah.
playing Superman without playing Superman.
Yeah. He couldn't put on the suit for obvious reasons, but I don't know. If Superboy can still wear the suit, I don't know why they couldn't get him to, but there you go. Maybe he took on a different name in his retirement,
Well, we don't know.
Either way, 9 out of 10. Very solid score. Very solid episode.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we finally got round to watching this, because obviously the first commentary I did on this channel was Roads Not Taken, and you wasn't able to be part of that because you weren't part of the channel at that time. So the opportunity to go back and watch it again is something that I really appreciated on this rewatch.
Yep.
And I hope everybody enjoyed, going through the entire Rhodes saga with us. It's over for now. At some point, I'm sure we'll come back to it, but that's probably going to be a while away.
Indeed. And see if we still have the same opinion at that time that we do now.
Yeah, I imagine I will with these ones. These are some of those episodes that I don't think they ever really change in my rankings, but yeah, really, really great episode. 9 out of 10.
Yep.
Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.